Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Morning Brews. My name, of course, is Ryan Smelt, and today we are talking about cues. So, if you didn't get to listen to yesterday's episode of Morning Brews, then I strongly encourage you to go back and listen to it. We talked about habits. That is the theme for this week. So, today we're going to be talking about cues. What makes you want to go into whatever that habit is? Primarily along the lines of, um, I talked yesterday a little bit about Ed Milet, and he was interviewing someone who talked about basically 40% of what we do during the day is not as much decision as it is habits. So that's why we're talking about habits this week, because a lot of times we think, like yesterday we talked about the bad habit of smoking, we think that that is a decision that people make, when in fact, if every morning after breakfast you have a cup of coffee and smoke a cigarette, of course you're choosing to smoke that cigarette, but more often than not, that is a habit that you've developed. So when we can change those habits, change those behaviors, we make different, make better decisions. And all of these things are triggered by cues. So that's why today we're talking about what are your cues. Um, so 2 bullet points: what made you want to start your habit, and in that I mean what triggered it in the moment. What made you say, "Okay, I'm going to go smoke a cigarette. I'm going to go drink beer," whatever the case may be. Number two, change the reward, not the cue. So you're going to have that cue no matter what, whether your job is stressful or maybe you just work for 90 minutes straight and you want to take a break. What you do when you hit that cue, when it triggers in your brain, is going to be the reward. So, for example, going based off of yesterday, if you work for 90 minutes, maybe that's your cue. Maybe it's like, okay, I sit down for an hour and a half and I go through my email. This is also an efficiency practice. So if you're sitting down and working on a task for 90 minutes, especially if you focus on something that can maybe be completed within 90 minutes, so maybe that is going through emails, maybe that is responding to those emails, within 90 minutes, it's possible you could finish that for the day. So you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down for 90 minutes, focus on this, knock it out. Then after that 90 minutes is up, you've completed the task of combing through your emails, responding to emails. You get that sense of accomplishment. It's like, okay, I can check this off my list. Maybe you keep it on a sticky note. Maybe it's in a notepad on your phone, Google Keep, what have you. You check off check emails or respond to emails, or maybe that's two separate ones. So you're like, all right, I'm checking stuff off. That triggers that sense of accomplishment in your brain. So under normal circumstances, maybe at this point, you get up, you go outside, and you smoke a cigarette. One other thing that kind of bleeds over from a habit like that is, if you go outside and smoke a cigarette, maybe you're not paying attention to the clock. Maybe you have a lot to do today, but you smoke a cigarette, that's your reward, you take your time. And so maybe you intend on taking a 5 minute break, but you go out, you smoke a cigarette, and maybe there's a couple more people out there smoking a cigarette, and you're socializing and talking, and your 5 minute break turns into a 10 minute break. So now you're getting into whatever your next task is, whatever else you want to accomplish for the day. So what I'm getting at, as far as the cue, it's that 90-minute sense of accomplishment. It's checking those things off your list. You say, okay, I've accomplished something. Now I want to go reward myself, and that is smoking a cigarette. So basically what we need to do, because you're not, of course you can alter the cue, and that could be extremely valuable in that maybe you extend it out to 2 hours, so you're not taking as many breaks through the day. Maybe you shorten your break. So instead of 10 minutes, you're taking 5 minute breaks. Do it every hour instead of hour and a half. I'm a firm believer in taking breaks throughout the day and learning when to pause, get up, go do something else, come back, and resume. But if you're changing whatever the reward is, then you can maintain the cues and you can train your brain to practice a different habit. And one thing they talked about in this interview was how, it's not a decision, it's a habit because your brain doesn't want to spend the energy making the decision. So it's a habit that it practices when you hit that 90-minute mark, you get up, you go outside, you smoke a cigarette. So, what are some things that you can place it with? Like I said, the first bullet point is what made you want to start the habit. So, what is that cue? I think we can go over a handful of other cues. For example, when it comes to a good habit, for me, going to the gym on a regular basis, when I wake up, when my alarm goes off, that's my cue to get up. That's my cue to get ready for the gym and go to the gym. When it's colder, I'm going to need to warm the car up. So basically, what I do is I wake up, I put on my gym clothes, I go out and start the car. As soon as I come back in, I'm drinking some black coffee. That's what I use for my pre workout. And so that alarm going off is my cue. Getting the coffee after I wake up as my pre workout. That is kind of my reward for listening to my alarm getting up. And then we talked about yesterday how when I go to the gym, my reward for going to the gym and hitting whatever my goals are is the uh, hot massage bed or massage chair. Keeps me limber so I don't get too sore, too worn out. But basically recognizing whatever that cue is, whatever it triggers in your brain. Hey, I got to go do this. It doesn't matter if it's a good habit or a bad habit. If you want to alter those habits, if you want to change whatever that reward is, then you need to recognize whatever the cues are that cause you to want to think that way or act that way. And then changing the reward, not the cue, is usually how you're going to change whatever your habits are. So one example is if every time on your way to work you see the Starbucks sign and go buy Starbucks and order some coffee, maybe that's your habit. It's like you're taking the same route. You see the sign, you crave that coffee, you're used to going in there, so maybe you recognize that the cue is seeing that sign. So instead of, um, you know, if you see the sign, you go into Starbucks, you're swiping your card. Um, maybe you change your route. So that would be an example of altering the cue so that you don't have to worry about it. Um, that can be a little difficult if maybe the route to work, that one is fastest. I would definitely look into a reason why you're getting Starbucks. So I'll give you a better example. On my way to work on paydays, I was stopping by Sheets and getting some of their iced coffees. They're like $3. So I'm like, okay, it's a good deal. It's my reward for making it through another 2 weeks of work. But at the end of the day, I kept swiping that card, and it's like $3, even though it's only every 2 weeks. I'm like, that's money I could spend on something else. So I don't necessarily have to have it. Plus, it's not not the greatest. It's not the most high quality coffee in the world. So like, I'm gonna focus more on making my coffee at home, like I always do. And instead of stopping by Sheets for the iced coffee, basically, I I just changed. I wanted to figure out what was the cue that made me want to go by there, and that cue basically seeing um, my direct deposit hit my checking account. So on paydays, I stop checking my balance to see if my paycheck had hit. I have those notifications turned off. So then I started to make a conscious decision when I take my route to work to not go by sheets, so I don't have to worry about coffee. So that's just a few examples of what are the triggers. Just kind of figuring those out, figuring out change what the board is. Once again, I go back to smoking. Another example for people who don't smoke might be if you go to the gym and then your reward after the gym is a donut. You might be counteracting what you did to work out in the gym. So just making sure that those rewards are healthy rewards, and making sure that you learn what your cues are, what the triggers are for your for whatever the habit is. It's definitely going to help change it, alter it. So tomorrow we are talking about how to alter your habits. I know we covered a little bit about that today, but really wanted to focus on helping you recognize what those cues are. Thursday, we're going to get into what are your rewards, and then Friday, we're going to go over a short list of some reward ideas. So if you gained any value from this episode, leave us a 5-star review. To get notified of new episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, go ahead and subscribe. Most importantly, tell your friends to subscribe as well. My name is Ryan Smelts, and I'll see you on the next episode of